Well, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to another crack-filled, banter-driven and educationalizing episode of Three Blokes, a Ball and Bod. Tonight, it is a joint venture, one of our joint venture shows with our good friends from Rugby Chat and Banter. This is the first of 2 weeks. Looking at the British and Irish Lions, and we'll come back to more of that in a minute, and we'll introduce who we've got on. We've got a fan in five from a New Zealander who actually runs the British and Irish Lions Forum, amongst other things. We'll come to him in just a second. You're all very, very welcome to the show. Keith Barwise is on at the moment. Keith, good evening to you. Who else we got on? Stuart on from the Lions in Pink. They're on next week as well on our part two. Heinrich's in the house as well. Good man. The only person who is Elvis isn't here because he's left the building. So tonight, in a bit of a change, we are supporting tonight. You'll see the sign at the top there, the Asia Security and Protection Group. They're not supporting us, we're supporting them, because during COVID-19 now, we are supporting businesses around the globe who need that help. So Asia Security and Protection Group are based in Hong Kong. They've got an operational footprint across Asia and Pacific, but they are a part of a global business. So they look after people, moving people during this current situation. They look after their events, they look after security, surveillance, executive protection, businesses if they are empty, houses if they are empty, yachts if they're empty. If you need something moving around the globe, then please go to Asia Security and Protection Group and have a look at their site. The group manager and director is a personal friend of mine, and I served with him, and I cannot edify them enough. If you have any concerns about security of your equipment, your people, your friends, your houses, your buildings, businesses, anything, then please let us know and either contact them or contact me, and I will put you directly in touch with the group manager and director myself. And we are also supporting tonight our good friends at coffeedog.ie, and we're supporting great bit of stuff there. And again, yes, Johnny's agreed. The owner and the founder of that, Johnny Pullen, is an Irish Rugby forum moderator as well. So we're supporting local businesses, and he's a member of the Rugby family. Yes, the promo code SHEP, SHP, is still there. You get 20% off, and we'll deliver around the globe, so go and do that. So there are lads. Tonight, if we hope everybody is safe and secure around the globe, we've got George AT is on morning from Canberra. Great man to see you. Who else? We've got White Walker One's Alternative Ego is on the show as well. More from him in a minute. Pro 14 Rugby Banter, who are our part two joint venture partners next week, are on. Al Whelan, who will be on next week, is on. But tonight, before we get into the meat of it, we want to introduce Adam Gilson. Adam runs the unofficial, I say unofficial, British and Irish Lions Tour 2021 Forum. He runs a rugby museum. He's involved in all sorts. He's just a mind. Adam, welcome to the show. How are you?
Good morning. I'm very well, thank you. Well rested. Good sleep. It's 7:35 in the morning here. Blue sky. Bit cold now, heading into autumn, but no, we're doing well, thanks.
Good stuff. Listen, great to have you on. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and what you do, your connection with rugby.
Well, I guess like a lot of Kiwis, grew up with rugby everywhere. So I've been involved in the Greymouth Maris Rugby Club, a passionate member from the juniors right through to the seniors. Now I helped set up a Golden Oldies team as well called the Maris Smaller. So once a year, the old boys, I'm 47, we trot out for a game. Ball avoidance is the name of the thing, more about the social side of things. West Coast Rugby Union, that's our provincial union. So I'm a massive fan, have been since a small child. I've also been a collector of West Coast Rugby memorabilia and other memorabilia. And over the last few years, I've set up the West Coast Rugby Museum at West Coast RM on Facebook. I've got hundreds of match programs, blazers, caps, pins, ribbons, badges, old photographs. I do a little bit of history writing for the local newspaper. So I do some research on players and games of our past. They get published in the paper. And from that, I guess I get a lot of memorabilia given to me. I've got a bit of a name as a collector, a bit of a mad rugby man. So yeah, that's what it is.
Just swing us around your man cave a bit, because you've got a little bit of stuff there which I thought was fab before. Look at this, and this is just a scratch. I never read. I hope everybody who is not involved in that's fab me. I hope anybody who's involved in the memorabilia doesn't think it's the wrong way, but I had my eyes open, Jordan, an hour-long chat with the great Adam the other day. Absolutely phenomenal. My brother Martin in Melbourne was an avid supporter. He had a huge collection of sports memorabilia, and I never really got it. But, you know, some pieces of living history. In fact, you Welsh fans out there, Adam has got the shirt, the number 15 shirt worn by Paul Thorburn, the great Welsh kicker, who still holds the world record for the longest kick, for the longest penalty scored. And when Thorburn kicked the winning point in the 87, I think it was. Is that right, Adam? 87 Rugby World Cup. Third place playoff between Wales and Australia, and this man here has got the shirt. There's backstories galore. We're going to do shows on all that, but there we are. We go. So brilliant stuff. Rugby man through and through and through. How does a New Zealander? You're married to an English girl, I believe.
Yeah, from West Cumbria. Yep.
We're from West Cumbria. There you go. Yeah, it's a great little mix of northern and southern hemisphere. How then does a New Zealander end up running such a large British and Irish Lions rugby forum?
Well, I guess 2013, I guess it was, to be honest, is where it kicked off when the Lions were touring Australia. I mean, my first test match I ever went to as a 10-year-old was Lancaster Park, 1983. First test, you know, All Blacks won 16-12. I just got hooked from then. So the Lions was always a massive thing for me. I guess through my collecting of, you know, the Lions used to come to Greymouth back in the day. We're a small town of 10,000 people. They first came here in 1930, so they've always come to our areas, which is great. Doesn't happen now. But so the Lions has always been in my blood. So 1993 was my second Lions test in Christchurch, 2005 again, and then in 2017. You know, so it's always been a part of me. But I set up this Facebook page just to, you know, show the relevant news about the tours, what was happening, you know, team selections, reviews of the games. And then in 2017, when they came, it sort of started to heat up with people especially struggling, the British and Irish fans struggling to be able to find rooms. You know, a lot of scalping going on with the hotels, which happens, unfortunately. So I got involved there and set up a scheme for New Zealanders to open up their homes for free to adopt a Lions fan. I set up, and it just took off. It was incredible.
Superb, brilliant. So, what as we move forward now, what sort of things can we expect to see on the forum?
Well, just any news, what's happening with the tour. You know, obviously the tour dates. I've been supporting a great bunch of a tour company, Lions in Pink. I met some wonderful Lions fans in 2017. So, just letting people know what they're up to as well. Obviously, when more details come out about the tour. I'll just keep putting, you know, anything news that I can find on the British and Irish websites, New Zealand websites, just any stories Lions related, I'll put it on there. And obviously, when things start ticking, you know, kicking off a bit closer to the tour, anything that can make a Lions fan, especially touring, make their trip a bit easier. You know, we'll have some people in South Africa as well that can give us some tips and advice for fans that are traveling. But we'll just try and keep it entertaining for people.
Cool, brilliant. Listen, I know we got a lot to get through tonight, mate. I know it's early in the morning for you. Thank you for taking the time. You're going to come back on, and we're going to do a number of different shows as we lead up. You talked there about the Lions in Pink. In fact, I think we've just got Scott Wilson from Lions in Pink, who's our guest on next week's show on the part 2, our Fan of 5, telling us about the Lions in Pink and the charity and what they do and everything. So it's all interconnected, and our good friends the International Virtual Rugby Club and Dale Reese, and everybody is interconnected in some way about doing this. So as we move forward, and we'll be tying that in with Andy Daniel from Scrum 5, who I host the show with now for the Springboks and South African Rugby Roundup as well. So this will be great. Adam, thank you for your time. Thanks for what you're doing. Can you do me a favor, mate? When you come off, can you stick I forgot to do it, my apologies. Can you stick the link up for your forum into this chat so people know where to go for your fan forum, and we'll sort of promote that off a little bit as well and see how we get on there. So until the next time, mate, stay safe. I know you've gone from level 4 to 3.
Yeah, we're doing well.
As well, and we hope that everything continues to go well in New Zealand. So Adam Gutton, from amongst other things, the British and Irish Lions Forum. He's going to stick the Facebook link up there. Go and like and follow there, because that is my go-to place for the British and Irish Lions information moving forward. Adam, take safe. Regards to the family, mate. We'll speak to you soon.
Thanks so much. Pleasure.
Pleasure. Take care. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. It is part 1 of the British and Irish Lions look-see, and this is looking at relevancy of the tours, icons and memorable tours themselves. Bringing in now, and I'm just going to tell them all now. Advance warning for guests: please unmute yourself. If this is a joint venture show tonight, this part one, with our good friends at Rugby Chat and Banter. And he is an Englishman. First of all of these three are involved with Rugby Chat and Banter. This man makes me giggle. I'm sure tonight is not going to be any different. He is an Englishman who lives in France. It is Des McCusker. Des, how are you? I tell you what, mate.
Hey, Joe, where you go, mate?
There we go. Oh, it's an excellent start. Good man. Welcome to the show. Are you well?
All good, mate. Thank you very much.
Super. Second guest on tonight is no stranger to the show. He is an admin on Rugby Chat and Banter. He is also our man north of the border here in Ireland. He is known as White Walker One. It's Nigel Quigley. Nigel, how are you? I'll unmute you as well. Oh, Nigel, I can't unmute you.
I don't know myself. How's it going, guys?
Good man. How are you? Everybody well north of the border?
McCusker, that's the badge, mate. Yeah, all good here, man. All good.
Good man yourself. And finally, the leader of the Merry Band has been co-founded and is the leading admin. She is our Welsh wizardess. She is also no stranger to us. It is the phenomenally fantastic Rhiannon Noel-Phillips. Rhiannon, good evening to you. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Lads, we have a bit of a surprise prize. I'll have to go through this. Our good friend Johnny Paul and the Coffee Dog has thrown in two prizes. So it will be comment number 11 and comment number 27. Whatever random they are, they could be anything. But I'll go back to them afterwards and find out who they are and announce them. But two winners will get two bags of coffee from our good friends at coffeedog.ie. So comment number 11, comment number 27. So whoever you are. So if you've got any questions for the team tonight, please.
Walker One is counting his comments. Look at that.
I'm actually
I can't even keep up. Who else have we got on the show? There we go. So we have got Stuart from great to see Adam on the show. Big Lives from the Lions and Pink. Yeah, the Lions and Pink boys on next week. Tim Ward. Tim, good evening. Tim, how are you, mate? Long time. I hope you're well. Who else we got? Dave Topping from who's Wingnut, who's White Walker 2, isn't he? Up in Ulster as well. We got Richard Topping. Gregor Galway's on the show. Looking forward to the two parts of this. So we're
Gregor.
Good man, Gregor. There we go. And there we go. Talk to South Africa. Thanks for having me on the show. And that will be the link from Adam Gilshan. Thanks very much. And who else we got? Catherine Beechner. Catherine, I hope you're well. You're on the show as well. Right, great. If you've got any questions on the British and Irish Lions, let's start off with Mr. McCusker, because Des McCusker has got some interesting facts about the British and Irish Lions. So, Des, how did it all start?
1888. Two cricketers apparently set up a franchise, or well, not a franchise, but set up to go over to New Zealand, the South Island. One of them dies in a canoeing accident, and they are there, and the tour lasts. I think I'm right in saying 7 months. They go out on the same boat. They come back in on the same boat from Grimsby. 7 months tour. Financially, kaput. But apparently they had a good time, apart from the fella that died in the boat.
Well, he might have died happy.
Yeah, he might have died happy, exactly.
Absolutely, yeah. And the fish probably were happy. What a way to go. At least he was involved right to the end anyway. So there we go. And then there's lots of other things. I didn't realize there've been so many jerseys at different times. There's only the red top as we know it now, only since really 1950. There was an anthem back in 1980 for the 85 tour. The Lions Committee, I'm led to believe, got an anthem because it was always sort of God Save the Queen was the anthem, but it was the British and Irish Lions. So there was an anthem got up in 1985 called The Power of Four, but it was discontinued because it was to coin a technical musical term. So it was never used again. But there we go. So we're allowed to.
Oh,
it's that way, isn't it? Look,
I'm drowning.
Down, her.
So there we go.
Hit the iceberg, Rianne. Hit the iceberg.
Hit the iceberg, yeah, the iceberg.
Jill's downstairs with Bardi refused to play tonight. He is coming on next week, and he will have a red and multicolored sort of Lions haircut top. And Martin Buggy. Martin says they're not a Lions jersey to be seen, and there's a really good reason as well. He knows. Martin, there is in the background, yes, but he's talking about wearing one. Martin Buggy is the Lions, the British and Irish Lions, #1 fan without a shadow of a doubt. And there is a third. We haven't going to declare this. There is going to be more these shows, and the third part of this, which will come in about part 2 next week, about 6 weeks' time, will be myself and Martin hosting a whole range of Lion stuff with potentially a Lion and a former Lion, etc. Anyway, working on a whole pile of stuff. So to start, oh look, Rian's just sort of lit up now. No, it's not Warren Gatland. There's a number of things we don't talk about tonight. One is box kicking and scrum halves. One is Morris dancing. In-house joke, that one. And Warren Gatland's picking of Shane Williams and Geographical 6. We're not going to talk about. We're not even going to mention any of those anyway. So we're going to start off with relevancy. Is the Lions tour still relevant with player welfare, the amount of times they're playing, the amount of travel involved, even every 4 years? Is it pertinent in the modern day and age moving forward? Rianne or Philip starts off.
Absolutely. Pinnacle of most players' careers still. Ask any ex-Lion or current Lion, and to them that, putting that red jersey on, costs his colour, isn't it? They don't get a chance to play for Wales, all of them, if they come from Ireland or England. But putting that red jersey on, going on tour, the camaraderie, it's that teamwork, respect, discipline, all the ethos of the Lions through the ages is still there and still very relevant. And you only have to see the sort of kickback at the suggestions that the Lions should head off to North America to see that that's not what they're about. It's not there to make people money, and that's why it's a bit of an anomaly for some people. But it's there because the players and the fans love it, and I think that's the very essence of it. It is actually one of the few times that you have two nations, with Great Britain and Ireland playing as one. There's no other sport that's that does that. And as I said, it's an anomaly because nobody seems to make a lot of money out of it, but it keeps the Southern Hemisphere teams going. You're guaranteed a huge touring fan base, and you're guaranteed full stadiums whenever they tour, and I think it's still hugely relevant.
Brilliant. Desmond Kuska, do you think that? Do you agree with Rianne? And when they're talking about potential tour, it's to develop. I think because Pichot's idea behind it is to develop the awareness, because it's a bit like with the Harlem Globetrotters, that type of thing, or the Barbarians. It's a very big spectacle. The Lions still, an awful lot of people love it. Could we not have a Lions? They feel like a second team who could do that sort of tour. What are your thoughts on the overall piece, mate?
A very unique coming together. What Rianne has said is just absolutely perfect. You've got four nations coming together, wearing one top. It's a sort of like a Range Rover SUV compared to a second-rate SUV, which is just as good, but you wear the badge, and the badge is just the pinnacle of what you wear. Mm-hmm. For me, it's the four nations. It's the four nations fans coming together and representing one team. It's in Australia with the sea of red, when Australia had to come out and give their fans the yellow. What did they give them? They gave them something to put into the stadium that would overcome the amount of red which was in the stadium. Do you remember that? And for me, that is it. 30,000 fans on the opposite side of the world, and they are also putting money in to the GDP of the country that they go to, a quite significant amount of money. What they do with that afterwards is up to them. But if I may, I looked this up today, and in New Zealand, the GDP went up for $224 million in 2017 that the Lions and that tour brought over. It was the first time that the New Zealand Rugby Federation had actually made a profit, and they were then able to put it back into their rugby. Obviously, it would have been nice to go out to the Pacific Islanders or whatever, but that's their concern, you know? So for me, we are all rugby fans, are we not? We are rugby fans. And for me, that amount of money that has been put into various countries that you go to, they're only the 3 countries, we know that. But that's a hell of a thing, isn't it? Isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is, and it's good, and they're all valid points. White Walker 1, nice quickly. Player welfare. Is it still relevant when we're talking about player welfare all the time? And maybe there's more.
It's relevant, but what I think you have to do with the Lions thing, and this is where I think the waters get a bit muddy. Lions is a rugby thing. It's a tradition. It's got heritage. It's part of rugby. What we're seeing now in the modern game is how can we turn that into a business, and that's kind of impinging on the rugby side of it. You know, the suggestion that Rianne mentioned earlier about doing a tour of America. It's a ludicrous thing. It's ludicrous that, because imagine sending a Lions team over to the USA to slap 50, 60, 70 points on teams for 2 weeks so that TV rights can be applied and lots of money can be made. And that's the only reason for doing that. Yeah. There's no rugby reason for doing that. Oh, yeah, it'll promote the game in the US. Teams are getting absolutely stomped every week and every day of the week. It's just, I just don't see the benefit in it. It has relevancy in its history. It's an old established setup. It's not. I mean, I watch all the tours. I wouldn't be. I mean, Martin. I know Martin's one of the aficionados of Lions rugby, and we will hear from some stage. I know, and I'm looking forward to that. To me, it's not the Barbarians. It's better than the Barbarians, but it's of that type. It's that type of setup for me. It's more about the fun, the camaraderie, the spectacle that is Lions tours, the games they play. You know, bringing teams from 4 nations together and making a squad out of them. They're always going to be up against it when they come up against the likes of New Zealand, who are settled, and you know. But it's a fantastic thing. Des has mentioned about the financial side of it with the fans. That's huge as well. That's actually of more benefit to rugby than TV rights, I think, in the local countries. You know, $220 million into the local economy. I mean, the TV rights, that won't go into the local economy. That'll disappear into the World Rugby ether or whatever, you know. So, you know, I think there's a balance at the minute that has to be made with the Lions, because there's the financial side of it, which the rugby gods seem to be the keenest on. But there's the rugby side of it, what the Lions are about, and the Lions tours. I think people from both hemispheres would get that, frankly.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And again, you know, at the moment we're all about promoting local businesses and global businesses. You know, tonight we are Asia Security and Protection Group, you know, and we've got coffeedog.ie. We're supporting those tonight between us because it's local and global, and rugby does that, and that's a really excellent point. Nice, thank you for that.
If I may, sorry, Joe. If I may. This was a quote from New Zealand Rugby, and it said, the financial windfall from the British and Irish Lions tour was a driving force behind a record $224 million investment into the national game. And that is into their national game. Now, we are British and Irish Lions, but we're also rugby fans.
Yep.
So...
Then, you know, bear in mind what we're saying about supporting local, supporting global where we can. The point you've just brought up, the point everybody's brought up, why aren't we seeing then once every 4 years part of this supporting the developing nations tours to. I know we want to see people playing. The Pinnacle is playing New Zealand and Australia and South Africa. Why aren't we playing, a combined Pacific Islanders team, or doing a couple of games? Instead, nothing against the provincial sides or the franchises, or in Australia, New Zealand, or. But I'd rather the midweek games, the Lions played against Pacific Island teams, and the Pacific Island teams took the gate money and things like that. What do we think about that, Rian?
Yeah, well, I'd be all for that. I remember the one Lions tour I went on was '89 Australia, and they opened with the Philippines. And why not? It's anything that can give those guys game time against high class opposition. As Des has pointed out, it's all about the fans. The fans want to go and see rugby. The guys need a couple of games to gel, because you've always got a disadvantage because you've got 4 nations coming in together, and so they need that time to gel together. And the midweek games, as you say, why not play? Apart from the fact you're absolutely scragged by the Pacific Islands, but yeah, the principle of playing it is going back, because I think the '89 tour was the last time they played anyone but the one country, because before it used to be a couple of, that's why they have the longer tours, wasn't it? It's sort of linked in with the professional game, etc. But why not? And a tour to America, Northern America, is a non-starter. But allowing the Pacific Islanders an opportunity to play, absolutely. Love it as well.
I could just point on that. Maybe one game. I mean, I'm reading some of the comments here, and Martin's very knowledgeable on the Lions, and he's made a couple of. They are who've been in financial trouble for some time, and Martin's put up there the last 2 tours to Australia basically saved the ARU on those occasions or in those years. So give up that income to their local game. It's such a big thing. So I don't know if the unions in the Southern Hemisphere would be up for that. Okay, you only play us at weekends, and then you go off and play Pacific teams during the week. Maybe one, but I don't think they'd want it every week. I think they'd want it within their nation.
I get that. Seat on that. I would have thought the Lions are in the driving seat on that.
Well, exactly. Yeah, and my point is, it's okay. Look, if Australia are one of the big countries, but they're part of the problem if they can't. We're going to talk about this on Monday. There's a show on Monday with Campo. We talk about Rugby Australia, and I get the point. But at the end of the day, who is more important? Australia for the development, and if they can't sort their own act out, no disrespect to our good friends in Australia, because we're going to discuss that to death on Monday. But we've got to be looking after tier 2 and tier 3 development. So if Australia are in trouble, they need to sort themselves out. They're a tier 1. Top of the world nation.
But that development has to be every year, Joe, not once every 4 years.
I get that.
There's got to be something for them every year, not once every 4 years. That's no good.
But that's why the Lions can come in, isn't it? The Lions every 4 years, but they can be doing some more work on helping the tier 2s.
Hey, listen, right? Sorry, not listen, right? I'm telling you because I'm an Englishman. All right, calm it down.
He's a geezer.
Yeah. I just wanted to say, an average of £9,000 for a Lions fan to tour. That's an average. If you want to watch all the games, you're talking about £9,000. I think the only one amongst us has been Rianne, who has been on a tour. The lovely thing about the Lions fans is there's no hierarchy. If you haven't been on a tour, so what? Do you know what? It costs so much money to go on that tour. There doesn't seem to be that sort of hierarchy. We've been, therefore you can't be a Lions fan.
Sure.
If you're talking about the Pacific Islanders, I think if you're going to whack on another 500 or 600 quid on a tour, then bring it on.
Now, and what I'm talking about is bringing the Pacific Islanders team, for example, to the country where you're in. So
I apologise.
So instead of playing, say, the Crusaders or one of those as an example, you would play them midweek. So, but they get the gate receipts because the Lions don't need that. So the local economy is still getting the money. I get that, but you're also given the gate receipts. So it's just one of. You're right, lads. It's just one. We need to be doing nice. We need to be doing something all the time, and everybody knows my views on the development of World Rugby, that a tier 1 team should be sponsoring a tier 2 and a tier 3. But it's one of those things that I think would just add a little bit more to it. Is that taken away from the provincial or the franchise teams in the country? I just think actually there's just something small we could do to help. I've got to take a couple of questions on here. Pro 14 Rugby Banter, which I think is Mark himself. Marquee team with marquee players. Yeah, we're not going to go in. That's team choices next week. Leading yourself in for that one there about who should be playing for the Lions, in fact, and who should be the reserves that come into place. We won't get into that one because otherwise we'll get ourselves dragged down. Well, we got Quinton is on. Looking forward to the British and Irish Lions coming to South Africa next year. Going to be great. It is. I think it's still a great spectacle, lads. What else we got? Nia is on. Should they have equal numbers of players from the participating nations? Okay. Right. Oh.
I feel like Joe Launchbury coming on.
I just want to. I'm turning into Rob C. Nesbitt. I'm just want to.
Come over.
Mia, great question. Right, Nigel. I'm going to let that one. We've got icons to cover the memorable tours, but that's a fab question. So, what do we think, Nigel?
Okay, it's become about. There was a fairly decent representation, with the exception of Scotland, in the last. Fairly decent. I think it was 39% Welsh, I believe. Was it 39% Welsh?
Yeah.
And that was well represented in the games overall. Okay, it was not well represented in the tests, I believe. And I do recall watching that tour and thinking, I'm a little uncomfortable with this, because this is about players he's familiar with, systems he's familiar with, and winning the games. And I thought, for me, as I say, the Lions is more of a rugby thing. Because we don't. Well, we do win tours, but we don't win that many. It's a competitive thing, and I understand that. But I thought we can talk about the bod question, and lots of people go, "Oh, yeah, he should have been on for at least 10 minutes in that last game as a farewell." End of, in my opinion. But the representation overall was okay. I mean, we've seen other times where it was more English, maybe when England were doing well. I'd like to see a bit more representation, but do you put a quota on it? Can you put a quota on it? Because then you're restricting the coach, aren't you? It's a really, really tough question. I think it's really down to the coaches to say, this is what the Lions are about, so therefore I will select on that. And they've got to make that call themselves. Gats decided to go with basically his own team and bring in a few others and fit into his system. And that's his call as coach. Sure. I wasn't particularly comfortable with it, but he won the tour. So, he done the job, didn't he? But no, I wasn't particularly comfortable with it. To me, it had too much of a flavour of Gatland and Gatland's Wales. And I don't mean that against the Welsh, because they were a great team. Sure. But that's what it looked like to me. And I would like to see a little more of a mix-up representation player-wise within it. But it's a tough one, isn't it? Because the coach has to make the call.
Great question. Rianne, I'll let you come back on that one.
I'm just looking at Zakaya's breakdown of the tour.
Yeah, very good.
RCB and their forums during the week, and I think there's a perception that it's always been all Welsh, but actually when you look at it, Scotland haven't done particularly well over the last two tours, and what do you do about that? But you haven't got form players; they're not going to be there, are they? But as I said, I think there's just an assumption because Gats would take the nucleus, would pick his nucleus of Welsh players, because at the end of the day, they're a team that come together, a bit like the Barbars. You've got to get them settled quickly, and whoever the coach is going to put his players in as the nucleus. It changes then as the tour goes on, and then you can start experimenting. So I'm a big Gats fan. Always have been. I'm not going to start dissing him now, but I take that as positive. If this was the boot was on the other foot, I'm no doubt I would feel grief as well. Yeah, so. Right,
we need to move on. I've got two I want to throw up. Alan Whelan says, if Nigel is a White Walker, can he be part of the night watch? I think he means and make sure he's up there. Good man.
Next week, you're on next week. Don't forget it.
Yeah. He's going to get a slate and mate for that one. I'm going to throw that up again just to make sure his name is Alan Whelan. Can he be part of yeah, on the night watch? Good man, Al. Well done, like that one. Keith Barwise. Keith says, everyone, who's your favourite player and why is it Owen Farrell? Moving on quickly.
Owen Farrell.
That's that Barwise character, isn't it? That's that Barwise character. It must be
Alan Wynne-Jones.
Yeah, Alan Whelan. Right, I tell you what, if Alan Wynne-Jones had put up a question up there, I'd be well stuffed. I tell you, I'd be getting you lot out, I'd be getting them in. Alan Whelan says, do the Scots get to play for Wales, Rhiannon? There we go.
If you want to, of course we'll have you.
Absolutely.
We're not proud.
Before we move, before we move on to icons quickly, we have got Mount Buggy, Chief Lions. Because the tour is only every 4 years, each team that tours is restarting again from scratch. They've not played together till they meet up. Each team that tours is unique, even though some may have survived from a previous tour. Sadie McGeechan missed the Lions for Mountain Buggy. I wouldn't disagree with that. He said nothing in team sport comes close to emulating the Lions except maybe the Ryder Cup. There you go. Right. Moving on to icons of the game. Actually, I'm just going to go back up because I've worked out that. Oh, where is he? Where is he? Demo Roxon, where is he? Tim Ward was number 11. Comment number 11. Hi, simple. Hi, Joe. Wins you a prize. I'll be in touch to get your details and we'll send you some coffee, courtesy of our good friends at coffeedog.ie. Tim, well done for the simple hi, Joe. Just goes to show a bit of courtesy and a bit of niceness. Just saying hello can win you a prize in life. The Reverend Collins on. Col, how are you, mate?
Oh,
good man. We are not worthy. Good man. Hope that you're all well up there. Monaghan, with a good chance there mightn't be much international rugby or any rugby before South Africa. It's going to be difficult to pick on form. Yes, it is. And in fact, here is Zakaya, who out of a total of 236 players in the last 5 tours, there have been 85 English, 36%, 59
who cares? Who cares?
And,
They're Lions. They're Lions.
I think the whole point is those numbers who have been used in actual matches is slightly different from that. Anyway, right, moving on. Icons. Nigel Quigley, start us off. Icons of.
I'll keep this very short. It's Big Willie John McBride for me, and the reason for it is the '74 tour. I was 10 years old and I'd just taken up mini rugby in primary school. I really enjoyed it, and it was great fun. And I saw, I think it was the second test. There was 4 tests in that, wasn't there? There was. I think it was the second test, and black and white. Was it black and white? No, it wouldn't have been colour by then. And saw Willie John McBride play and just wanted to be him. That was it. You know, I just wanted to be Willie John McBride. He was the captain of that tour as well, of course. I think he went on a few tours. Martin could maybe tell me. He went in the 71 tour. I know that as a player.
4, I think.
Oh, 4, wasn't it?
4, yeah. I think. Yeah.
I don't think many players do that now, right enough. But
I think, no, sorry, mate. I think
you could. No, I think you could be right. I'm sure. Listen, there's plenty of statisticians out there. I'm sure will tell us. But just that was it. I was hooked on rugby, and that's all I wanted to play was rugby. After watching him play, I had the pleasure of meeting the big guy a few times. You were saying, Joe, as well about the shovels for hands, which he does have. But lovely man, and absolutely my icon of rugby. It was him that got me into rugby, basically. You know.
Yeah.
What was the best thing about Willie John? We talked about this afternoon. I had the pleasure.
Funny, Martin just mentioned McGeechan there, and I think I've seen, you know, praise paid to Willie John McBride in more recent years. And it was Ian McGeechan that said he was our leader. He was the man. Fantastic man, fantastic player. And I think it was Geeks that said he was a big, strong, powerful man, even back in the day when rugby players weren't that big, strong, and powerful. You know. but there was quite a few players paid tribute to him in that piece, and it was just the respect he was held in by the other players on the tour. So he was seen that way by the players, not just the fans. As I say, he was the first major player I saw play, and I thought, wow, that's it, and loved it. That was me.
Five tours. Come to Rugby.
Oh, was it 5?
Right, yeah.
5. There you go. There you go.
Well done.
Right.
There you go.
And I'm just going to add on the Keith Barway says, actually, over time, Warburton will be recognised as an icon.
Hello!
Already. What else have we got? Martin Buggy agrees.
Right.
Our expert in the lines. So thank you to Rab and Martin. That were 5 of them. And I just wanted to go back on. We moved on to icons, but there was just one on Zakaya had put up. Not the one about stats about the Pacific Islanders don't make any money down. No, you missed that bit before, Z, when I said that the Pacific Islanders, if they played midweek, should come to the country where they're playing and take all the money there. So money's still going into the local community, but also the Pacific Islanders will take the money for there. So just clarify that one. So, Nige, yeah, brilliant. Great man, mate. You're absolutely right. Absolutely spot on. You stand that guy. Des McCusker, give us a couple of icons for you, sir.
So, Joe, when you put this together, you asked us to do 5 or 6. So
it was between you, but yeah, go on.
Yeah. Cheers for that. Thanks very much. Piss off, Rhian. So may I start by saying Neil Jenkins, who I believe has still got the record for the most points scored on the Lions tour, which would be 41. I'm going to go second, Keith Wood. Phenomenal, a hooker and a great court judge for the players. If everybody's seen it on YouTube where he does a court judge for the Lions tour, just brilliant. Brian O'Driscoll, you can't miss him out, can you? You can't miss out the bod.
Well,
so we got to talk about Brian's first try that he scored, individual try, which was absolutely phenomenal. And then when he got speared, everybody remember when he got speared in New Zealand? Yeah, all right. Switching the page because I've written it all down because you're all professional and I'm not. All right. So then, if you don't mind, I'm going to go on to Martin Johnson, who I thought was fantastic. He came in as Wade Dooley's replacement in '93, and then went on to captain in '97, which was an unbelievable tour. But for me, the icon, and I'm missing out the likes of McBride, Edwards, Guscott, Hastings, and O'Connell, who are all fantastic. But for me, and my favourite player ever as an Englishman, Jpr Williams. Jpr Williams, the man. And for me, when I was a kid growing up, Jpr was fantastic. He was my man. He was superb. And then you develop the Lions ethos as you get older, and you realise just how pivotal he was to the Lions as well. So Jpr, number 1 for me, and that's your lot.
Good man, well done, excellent. Thank you, mate. I really appreciated that. Rhian, icons. Who are icons to you of the British Irish Lions?
Well, Jpr would have been there.
Mine.
Gareth Edwards with no Martin. But I think Sam Warburton will go down in history as an icon. I think he was awesome as captain, hell of a man, great guy, and yes, odd. You know, you can't take it away from him. I don't actually agree to come on, but there we are. I'm not Irish, but yeah, he's certainly an icon of the Lions. And Willie John, you know, it's pretty synonymous with the Lions. So yeah.
I think there are so many. I think when you talk about the likes of Willie John, you talk about the likes of Paul O'Connell as well. A lot of it is that quiet assuredness They're very similar characters for me. You know, interestingly, both locks. I think there's an awful lot about a lock. You know, we're talking about next week, obviously, with the Pro 14, we'll be talking about the Touring 41, and already people are pretty much accepting that. You know, the second row is so pivotal, and I think it's shown itself down through the history of time. So looking forward, you know, you're looking at Mara Itoje and Ireland's James Ryan as the starting, but even McGeechan says that over maybe Alan Wynne-Jones, and both of those are both future England, Ireland, and British and Irish Lions captains. Both of those, and there's something in a lock sometimes, I think, which just holds it together. Well, actually, whether they're a skipper or a vice captain, it's just something there. And I think for Willie John O'Connell, people like that, they just stand out. They're just. I mean, I had the pleasure of meeting Willie John. He presented me with a medal for a competition, you know, a number of years ago, and he was just. When you talk about being in awe of somebody, he wasn't awe. He's just got a presence about him which is reassuring, and he's a gentleman. And apart from that, I mean, I'm not small. But frig me, his hands made a pint of Guinness look like a shot, and he just spoke to everybody like he'd known you forever, and just he'd be on like we are on this, and it's those sort of examples I think which do stand out, and I don't discount people like Sam and Bod and people like that, but for me, I think it is Paul O'Connell or Willie John or somebody like that. We're going to move on. We've got Ian Gilbert, our ambassador extraordinary in Madrid. Hola, Ian. Hope you're well. JPR is the man. Z, and I have to say, everybody who's watching this, you're welcome to the show. And they're going to take that just for a second. It's a joint venture show with Rugby Chat and Banter. He's Jesus.
It's gone.
It's gone. All mine's gone. I've got no Malbec, mate. I've got no furlough.
Last one, mate. Last one.
If you can get a Red Cross parcel down to Northwest, let me tell you, I've got cases of. I tell you. Anyway, I've got wine up in the north of Ireland. I had it delivered there because they don't deliver to the south, and then 2 days later, when it after being delivered, it got stuck. So the people who have got it there are probably drunk it all. Go back to the show. Sorry, I am joined by Rugby Chat and Banter's Randall Phillips. Go to Rugby Chat and Banter and have a look at the. You know, I can't commend them enough. They've been big supporters of what we've done since I started the Three Blokes of Ball and Bod, and most grateful to them. That's why we're doing a joint venture with them tonight. Looking at part one of the British and Irish Lions, looking at relevancy icons, and we're going to cover very quickly just now memorable tours. But Zagea Zvitanovic from 3D Rugby International is a real statistician. That's because she's a professor as well, so she's a clever lady, and she keeps us all right. But go back through all the comments she's put, and she has all of those stats there, and they are an interesting read. So Z, thank you for putting all that together. It is very, very useful, and it's great to be able to look at. But for once, our learned professor throws up a question. There we go. Do British and Irish Lions matches count towards players' caps? I know this. The answer is yes. It does. They get caps for them, and they are counted. Whoa! There's a difference of opinion of 5-1. Des McCusker, tell me why.
I haven't got a clue. I've had a bottle of wine, and all I wanted to do was shake my head. Carry on.
Excellent. Well, here you go, Martin Buggy. There's a slight difference of opinion. I am on coffee. He's pissed because he's had a bottle of wine. I'm jealous.
Pissed, am I?
Martin Buggy.
It is a cat. Yeah.
I'm sure it is, but I tell you what, Hugh Williams, Ian Gilbert says, I assume Mick Gibson is on every list. Oh, good point. Maybe. Hugh Williams from Pro 14 Rugby Banter, line 71 back division. Well, all of them are icons.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, Catherine's on. Hey, how you doing? Great to see you. Well, we got Keith Barwise. Shout out for Englishman Dr. James Robson. As an icon, 6 tours was it? Oh, Jesus. Well, there's a question. Who knows how? I don't know actually. It's a question for anybody. who has done the most tours? I think Keith probably is. It's a great shout out there. Englishman Dr. James Robson is an icon. 6 tours. Has anybody done equal 6 tours or done more? Jesus, I wouldn't have thought so. It's certainly not in the modern day. Nige was right. I mean, I couldn't get through a game anymore, let alone, you know, a full tour, let alone 6 tours. Gregor Galway, Willie John McBride is someone who everybody would listen to. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Rhiann's face, no Alwyn Jones. The Reverend Colin says lion caps are separate as far as he knows.
Exactly.
I'm not convinced. I think hopefully Martin Buggy can come back and tell us, because I was always told, I was on the impression that the international caps, because when they're broken down, it is sort of test caps and British National Lions, etc., etc. But we'll see. Let's see what else we have got. So we're going to move on to memorable tours. Who's going to start us off on that? Rhiann. All right.
I'm only going to say, because it's a tour I went on. It was 1989, and before you go on about how rich I was, Des McCusker, I was living in Australia at the time.
What the hell was that coming from?
And so it was my first and my only tour so far, although I'm hoping to get out to South Africa next year. Absolutely great. I think it was a bit of a record because they came back from a 1-0 test defeat to win the series 2-1. And at the time, it was the first time that had ever been done, because whoever won the first test had gone on to win the test. So it was great. They played the Philippines to start off with. I think, oh God, it would have been Gavin Hastings for the top scorer. So they were
93.
No, this was 89.
Oh, he was captain in 93. I do apologise.
Yeah, it was Finley.
He was captain in 93.
Finley Calder was the captain in 89.
Bang on.
Oh, thank you, Des.
I apologise.
Go on, Rhiann.
Oh, dear.
Anything else you'd like to tell me about this? Anyway.
Yeah, get on with it.
No, that's it. That's my memorable tour. I had a great time. Absolutely great crack. Can't remember half the matches, but it was brilliant.
Good man. Good woman, really. I think. What was the atmosphere like? What was the biggest thing that you took away from it?
Oh well, I was living in Sydney at the time, and there was a big Sydney Welsh rugby club, which was our sort of local place hostelry and rugby club. And yeah, it was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. You know, it is one big family. I love being at Municipality Stadium, you know, for an international, but there is something different about being at a Lions match. It is different because suddenly there's no, you know, inter-nation rivalry. You are Lions fans, and you are Lions, and it's and there's almost a different certainly that tour. The players are more, they belong to you.
Sure.
It's difficult to describe, but it certainly is that. The real family. It's always been something that you know, you aspire everyone to be like, so that there was never even when they lost the first test, you know, it was all about we'll get them next time, you know, and it wasn't. I know we as Welsh tend to, if Wales lose, you go into depth and you start. Ireland are the same. We see those sort of post-mortems, etc. But with the Lions, there was far more optimism about, you know, and I just loved it, and that's I want to recreate it. I want to go back. And I think once you've done a tour, you just spend the rest of your life hankering to go on another.
One.
I one of my best. I think as well, because touring, and you're all meeting up with people as you go, and you know, every rugby club in Wales seem to have people who are on on the tour, so you'd meet up with those, and then you would meet up with Australians who were touring as well, and so you got to know people really well, and I think that's important as well.
It's that everything we talk about in the global rugby family, isn't it? Yeah. And it's interesting the amount of conversations since we've been doing this 2.5 years now, the amount of people who are going to be meeting up as a result of what we've done with the shows and connecting people together. I won't be there. There's everything about the rugby family to me, and seeing that, and I know that I'll be jealous when people send me videos and we'll have shows where people are live on the ground and I can't be there. And but it will be just as much satisfaction of seeing people that we've connected together. I think it's bloody priceless. I really, really do. The Wicklow Warrior, the Beast of Bray, the Couch Pundit is in the house. Neil Keating, good evening to you. And we've got an answer from the legend that is the Lions fan, Martin Buggy. Up until recently, they didn't get caps officially for playing and weren't counted as international caps, but separately as Lions appearances. Now, all Lions receive an official cap. All previous Lions, tourists, or the surviving families receive the cap. So I think the answer is therefore correct. They do get caps. Thank you very much, Martin Buggy. Very, very good.
We're all right. We're all right.
We're all right.
We're all right.
We're all right. All great. We're all going to for turning up. We get a badge for turning up. There we go.
We're all right.
Hugh Williams says Barry John was christened the king by the harshest, most critical people of all. Must be someone special, very, very special. He was some really, really top people. Who else have we got? I've got to do memorable. Nigel Walker. Jesus.
Nigel Walker.
Hello, Mr. Walker. Hello, Mr. Walker.
I think Joe's had a few Johnny Walkers, hasn't he?
Mr. Walker.
Nigel quickly. White Walker one even. There you go.
Right.
North of the Walker. North of the Walker.
Oh, look
obviously, 74 Lions tour is what got me into rugby, watching Willie John McBride and others. It was a bit of a one-sided tour, as obviously I seen the games more often afterwards, by the last game. But and it was going on at a time with apartheid. It was very politically charged. But that started me off. I suppose beyond that, one I particularly enjoy was 2013. But I'll tell you why. It wasn't a particularly memorable tour. It's a Lions tour, so it's amazingly entertaining and enjoyable. I was actually in Turkey on holiday, and we were staying at this lovely place, and they had a fantastic big screen by the pool, fantastic bar, and I was like, wouldn't it be great if I could watch the Lions games here? So I persuaded the Turkish barman. They had Sky Sports to put all the Lions games on that we could watch every one of them. And it kind of pissed a few people off because there was nothing but rugby on the television, But what was really good, I spent an awful lot of time sitting explaining to the locals about the game, how it worked, and they really did get into it. By the middle of the week, they were really starting to enjoy it because a lot of them had never even seen a rugby game, never mind a Lions game. And that was so enjoyable because A, I was on holiday, so I was enjoying myself anyway. B, I was watching Lions rugby in the sun with a nice beer. And C, I was able to talk to local people there, and they were really getting interested in the game, So that one always sticks out with me, probably because I was in Turkey more than anything.
Well, look, I will at some point get on the Lions tour. It's one of those things that's on my list. I think it's one of those things that even if you did one, it is one of those things that you would just never forget, and very envious of those people who do get on. Des McCusker, favorite Lions tour. Memorable Lions tour for you, mate.
So what you've just said, Joe, is absolutely spot on. I will one day get on a Lions tour, and it is an awful lot of money, and people will never have the money to get on to that Lions tour. Doesn't mean that we're not all Lions fans.
No.
If you're a Lions fan, you're a Lions fan. What Rihanna said is infectious. What she just talked about was absolutely infectious. Yeah. Being around the Lions supporters, being around up and close is absolutely infectious. Am I envious? Yeah, a little bit. But I'm also a Lions fan, and I will always be a Lions fan. So I'm back to my notes, if you don't mind.
Absolutely, sir.
I'm going for 1971.
Wow.
And I am going for 70 years of defeat in New Zealand. 70 years of defeat in New Zealand. Can we... I mean, that's a big deal straight away, isn't it? 70 years. And it's when the Lions roared and come of age. Willie John McBride, Barry John, Gareth Edwards, Mike Gibson, John Dawes captain, David Duckham, Gerard Davis, and the mighty Jpr Williams, with the coach of Carwyn James. I apologise, Rhiannon, if I've said that wrong. I apologise. And you're going Eden Park, you know, JPR for the drop kick. Never done a drop kick in Test history rugby before, ever. And he drop kicks a goal. And they equal the series. Sorry, they draw that and they win the series. The greatest tour of the Lions ever, full stop. And that is passion. That is passion for me, and that is the Lions. And what Rhiannon said earlier is absolutely bang on. I am envious, but not all of us have the money. She is very posh. She's very rich, and I'm hoping she's going to bung me some money. Okay.
We'll carry your bags for her, mate.
Hey, mate.
That'll be protection.
So for me, that lineup, that Lions tour, what it meant, Carwyn Williams as the coach, that was for me the tour.
Absolutely. Listen, we are 1 hour and 1 minute over. I'm going to have to wrap things up, but I'm going to stick up a couple of points up because Nia asked this twice. Who's the best Lions coach ever? Well, that's going to be the subject of a full show along with some other things with our good friend, Mr. Buggy. But very, very quickly, I'll give you 20 seconds each to answer. In fact, I've got to stick this one up first because the other day when I was talking with Ian about some links into Ireland, it came out when we were talking about you, Nigel. It came out as Miguel and not Nigel. So because I said I'll have to call them that from now on. So you are now Miguel Walker. So why you've gone from Nigel quickly to Miguel Walker in hey, Miguel, hola. So, Nigel, very quickly, who was your favourite coach ever for Nia?
You know, it's really painful for me, but it's got to be said. It's got to be results based, and Gatlin's got to be up there. And I know he's the most recent coach, but if he does it again, if he wins another tour, he's going to be right up there, whether you like him or not. And it does pain me a bit because we spoke earlier about what he did in the last tour. But he won it. And if he wins another one, he's going to be right up there.
That's fine. Des?
I'm going to go with Gatlin as well, if you don't mind. And could we all raise a glass to brother Daniel, who's going through a shitty time at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. We gave him a shout-out on Monday.
Carwyn Williams. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. And you are beautiful for doing that.
Sentiment message today as well. A lot of people struggling at the moment. I had... a good friend of say within the army who was buried today. Who died very suddenly.
Carwyn Williams, mate. Carwyn Williams for me. 70 years of hurt. Comes back. Carwyn Williams. Beautiful Welshman. Beautiful Welshman.
Carwyn James even.
No. Yeah, but all right.
Yeah, but his mate, you're right. His mate's called him Willie. Carwyn James, but his mate's called him Willie.
I did really well up until then. And then I went shot down in flames. Oh, I do apologise. I apologise to the Welsh. I do apologise.
And finally, Rhiannon Noel-Phillips.
Got to go for Gats. Just because if he gets the 3, you know, it's
okay.
No matter what you think about him as a coach, he gets the results.
Yeah, you're right.
There you go, Nia. There'll be more on that to follow. Martin, the last couple of points here before we wrap up. Stay with us right till the end because there's some important information coming right at the end on what's happening over the next week or so. Martin Buggy says Lions supporters tend to be absolutely passionate and rabid rugby fans. If you buy into the concept, you're in it for life. In fact, yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, Martin, because Emily, Martin's missus, is She's from Scotland, and her uncle Ian scored the winning try in Dunedin '71. And he points out earlier that they each have the same as the All Blacks, etc., and the Springboks. They all have a number. So each of the British and Irish Lions have a number. That's their number forever, which I think is a fab thing. You can have as many caps as you want, but if you've got a British Lions number, and that does come on to why we should always have the best players available, and that's the only not going to drag into that, but that's why it's so passionate for me to have the best players, not just dragging somebody in who is nearby, because I genuinely believe that that number is something very, very, very special to have and shouldn't be given away lightly. Z says, I was right. Jesus, can I write home and tell somebody? Z's told me I was right for one. Good. Excellent. They do count. Yeah, Jones is set to match. Alan Jones is set to match McCaw's mark 148 caps with his 139th Wales appearance following 9 tests for the British and Irish Lions. Excellent. Good. I like when I'm right. Z, well done. Thank you for that. And I think Nia is saying Carwyn James. Yeah, there we go. That's it. Right.
I know that now. Don't bloody say it now.
Martin Buggy says Carwyn James was the best coach, 71. There we go. And he adds that Gatter's the most successful, but not liked. And there we go. That's it. So stay with us for a couple of minutes, guys. A huge thank you to Rugby Chat and Banter for support today. Go to Facebook to Rugby Chat and Banter and support, like and follow what they're doing. It's all run by Rianne and the team. Really, really supportive. Been great. Part 1 tonight, supported by our friends. We have supported tonight our friends at Asia Security and Protection Group. And if you need protection, if you need moving from A to B during this current time, if you've got property, boats, houses, businesses that need looking after, whether it's Asia Pacific, where they're part of a global security and protection corporation, then let us know, because we can help you get your kit, your families, your businesses, your buildings, your homes protected during this time. Reach out to me and I will personally introduce you to the group managing director and Martin Franks, and we will get you looked after. And we are supported as ever, our good friend Johnny Pullen and coffeedog.ie through COVID-19. Rianne, Nigel or Miguel and Des, Rugby Chat and Banter, real pleasure. On next week's show, we have got part 2. We are working with a really been trying to get these guys together for a while. We are working with Pro 14 Rugby Banter next week. So we've got their founder and leader, Mark Anderson. We've got Alan Whelan, who's obviously going to come under some pressure now for taking the piss tonight. So Al's on and we've also got Richie Toppin from up in Ulster back on the show, which is going to be fab. So they're the 3 on next week. We have got the Lions in Pink, guys who work with the Lions tours, and they'll be telling us, Scotty Wilson I think is on, and will be telling us about what they're doing and why they dress in pink suits and what the Lions are about and how they raise money. So that's all tied in as well, which is fab. Next Monday, next Monday's show, the Keego and Big Joe show, is a Wallabies and Australian rugby special with David Campese, me, Keego and Campo, where we'll be looking at what's currently happening with Rugby Australia. The CEO, Raylene Castle, has recently stood down. It's in a bit of a turmoil at the moment, so Campo's going to be on. Bit of Marmite there, but you always listen to his thoughts. In fact, we had a private session for 30 minutes in our panelists group today. It was brilliant. If you weren't there, geez, you should have been. You need to be a panelist to get into some of these things. Thank you to everybody again who supported the International Virtual Rugby Club All Anzacs Day All Blacks Rugby Special on Monday, and to the 3 All Blacks who were on. Phenomenal support in supporting the Royal New Zealand Return Services Association, looking after their vets. Fair play to them all for that. And so that's next Monday with Campo, me and Keego with Campo, the Keego and Big Joe show. Next Wednesday, we've got part 2 of this with Pro 14 Rugby Banter with Mark Anderson, Al Whelan and Richie Toppin. And the Lions in Pink, looking at the potential, who they believe will be the touring 41-man squad and who will be the match day 23. If you think tonight's been a bit interesting and tasty on differences of opinions, next week.
I'm glad you left that till next week.
Yeah, absolutely. So listen, thank you. And then next Thursday, myself and Scrum 5 Rugby's Andy Daniel will be. We've got our third episode. We've had to move now from a month. It was meant to be a month, but we've next Thursday will be the Springbok and South African Rugby Roundup as well. So that's Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday next week. You've got 3 different shows from us all, and we look forward to all of them. Thank you for continuing to support what we do. If you have a company out there that you want to give a shout out for during COVID-19, let myself know, or Keegan know, or Andy Daniel know, and we will get somebody on. We'll be able to do that. A bit of Welshness going on there, a bit of English going on there, a bit of Ulster going on there, and a bit of Ireland going on here. Until next week, thank you to everybody. Thank you to Rugby Chat and Banter, Rianne, Nigel, McWell, and Des. Just stay in the studio until we finish. I've been Big Joe Shep. This has been another crackful banter.
Well played, Joe. Yeah,
well played. Ball and Bod. Until next Monday, stay safe. As Bod would say, wash your paws. Love everybody. Keep in touch. Got a meal of my hugget. Yeah,
well played, mate. Well played.